Okay, welcome back to the No Tact Talk podcast. This is a Christmas episode, pretty much. We're not really going to be talking about Christmas, but when you hear this, it's going to be the week of Christmas. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the other religions out there to you people. So, today's a good day. I have my tea here. I found an old coffee cup. I always use this coffee cup if you watch it on YouTube for an old church that I went to that didn't like anymore. But I love the coffee cup, and it has a great blueberry tea with some honey. I'm starting to drink tea more because, I mean, your average episode here is like an hour and a half. So I would have to make sure I keep my voice straight. And I talk all day at work during the week. It's a lot. And then I want to be stupid and go outside and run in the cold weather. So, I mean, it's a lot of things fighting against me. But today, we have an awesome guest. We pretty much a whole episode already when we were talking about this, just kind of got into it. And so I'm super excited about what it's going to be today. We have a Jessica Van Kline. I mean, she is a force to be reckoned with, right? Insert applause here. She's a speaker, mentor, a marketing leader. She's a mother of four beautiful children, an upcoming entrepreneur and marketing leader. She has created Face It, a series of inner beauty digital content that ensures that women believe in themselves and to understand how great you can be if you face your own insecurity. So with all that being said, welcome to the No Tech Talk podcast. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jay. And that
It's
was
a
an awesome
pleasure.
intro. I'm going to have to introduce myself like that when I speak. There's this meme where Beyonce is talking to
Yeah.
Oprah, and Oprah says, "Oh, you're Beyonce." And she says, "Thank you." So that's
Right.
kind of how I felt.
Yeah. So I always tell people if you don't have a bio, you're not doing enough with your life. Because everybody can have a bio. So if you don't have a card or bio or something that like presents you well without you having to speak, you got to do better. Little
Yep.
nugget here early on in the podcast, little early nugget. So what I wanted to talk about too, since this quote unquote is a Christmas episode, I'm not a Christmas fan at all. Everybody loves Christmas. My favorite holiday is my birthday. Second favorite is Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
never been a fan of Christmas. It's forced to me. You know, it feels like they start getting you ready right on Black Friday, and it's just so much stuff. Like they're forced it down your throat. I'm just like, man, nah, this is not my style. Presents are cool.
Yeah.
Receiving gifts, one of my love languages, but the season don't even like Christmas music. I could go my whole life without ever hearing Mariah Carey again. Some people call me a Grinch, but it's just not my style. So.
Yeah, Scrooge. So I'm like, I feel it from both ends.
Okay, what
I
you got?
get what you're saying about the shopping holiday. I work at Dell,
Yeah.
and I'm on their e-commerce team. And so, yeah, it takes for me a little bit of the happiness of the season out of Thanksgiving, because
Yeah.
during Thanksgiving we are, I mean, that's
Pushing
the
for
biggest sale
Christmas.
period of the year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do love Christmas
Well, you had to
because
because you have children, all right?
yeah, because I have
Yeah,
children. And then also that's when the work starts dying down. So I can actually take time off and get in the holiday spirit.
I
You see
feel
this
it.
tree behind
I
me.
do.
Uh, Still put that up Black
When did you
Friday
put it
night.
up though? Okay, but that's good. Some people put up their tree in like, October, and it's just like, bro, like stop.
You have to let each holiday have its time. I
Correct.
believe in that. But
Okay.
yeah, we're totally in the Christmas spirit. Things are a lot different for us this year. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about that. But overall, the Christmas spirit for us and how I teach my kids, we throw it all back to Christ.
Yeah.
And so for me, I am always in the Christmas spirit because every year, whether good or bad, it throws back to the gratefulness to God that I feel because he allowed Jesus to be born. And
Okay.
so I will never not be in the Christmas spirit from a spiritual standpoint. Now,
Okay. Oh
from
yeah,
a commercial standpoint, they can
Eh,
get away from me with all this gift buying.
yeah. I mean, we do a 10 things list in my family. It's pretty cool. Sometimes it's like a super expensive year. Other time it's like we trying to like lowball it, depending on how everybody, finances and stuff is. But
Yeah.
it's a big deal. It became a big deal for a long time, and now we're kind of like leveling out because I got three sisters, one brother. My brother's married. I'm married. It's a lot of people. Not to mention nieces and nephews. It's a lot. So, um,
Yeah.
let me before we keep going. Where is the where do you stop? Where do you start telling your kids? When do you start telling your kids that Santa's not real? Big question.
That's a tough one. So my kids, my oldest will be 16 next
Yeah,
month,
yeah.
13, and then 5-year-old twins.
Oh, so they
The,
definitely opposites. Okay.
the twins still are Santa
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they're taught at school. And so, yes, it's difficult. I think I ripped the Band-Aid off
Yeah.
probably around like 10. Like, if
Okay.
you didn't know already, if one of your friends didn't do the work for me, then let me sit you down and make sure
Because
you
my thing
know.
is like, and my wife, she be getting on me all the time. I'm like, I want you to know, you get a couple of years, but if I'm buying all these gifts, you got to know who putting them under the tree, dog. It ain't no. I'm gonna try to push the whole Black Santa motif, everything. I'm gonna try to do the whole thing. I don't know. It's probably gonna change, and everything I thought about is gonna be
Yeah, it'll
better.
change because
But
then you'll have your kid crying because they're the only kid in their class that
now
can't
I'm gonna
believe in
be my
Santa.
son gonna be the one that tell people like Santa ain't real. My dad, I don't know what y'all know, but I saw my dad. He told me we went to Walmart together. I got my gifts. No, I don't know, but I mean, obviously you want them to be kids. I don't want them to grow up too fast, but it's
Mhm.
just like tooth. Like I would want them to know more about the Tooth Fairy. Be more excited about that. Maybe Elf on the Shelf. I don't know, but I always get kind of weird around Christmas because
I
it's just
can't do the elf. I can't do the
is it
elf.
not
That's
creepy?
too much work on me. That's responsibility for me. And then who's cleaning that up? Me.
The
I
elf's
can't.
eyes are creepy to me.
Yeah,
If you
it's
look at
too
the,
much.
if he's just like side eyeing you, I'm like, someone looking at me, and let the elf move 1 inch on wherever he's sitting, and it's a wrap. That's a wrap.
No, it
Yep.
reminds me of the movie that scarred me for life as a kid,
What's that?
Tales from the Hood.
Oh yeah.
That movie,
Yeah.
anything small that's a doll that moves, I don't want it. I
Mm-mm.
don't want it.
So we talked a lot the other day about your journey, and
Yes.
that's kind of burst your businesses and your initiatives that you're trying to push for women and in different situations. And it was a lot. We talked for about what 2, 3 hours almost. And so wherever you want to start,
Yeah.
because people here should know by now. Like I'm a really strong advocate for women. Obviously my boys too. We got our own lane as well. I've done a lot of episodes, but I've had a lot of really strong women on this podcast and in their particular areas. And what I've found is that, there's obviously that balance. There's that power struggle, the internal power struggle for women, obviously going through our life, living, but being successful versus, still maintaining that femininity. I always say that wrong. I think I got it right. Maintaining that feminine side, trying to be strong for my children, my business, or trying to just be all things to all people. And every one of them have had a different perspective. So for all the females that's listening to this, and even for the males, it's really to understand what your girl, your wife, whoever is going through, and
Right.
be a good helpmate, for them in that season. So, when did I guess your kind of story start, as far as just go?
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
yeah,
backstory about me. Yeah, and then we'll dig in.
right.
So my journey into motherhood started at 19 years old.
Okay.
I grew up an Army brat. I graduated high school in Japan and came running back to Texas close to family for college.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was very green in a lot of ways, didn't really understand love, relationships. I,
Mm.
I hadn't even had my first real relationship until I got to college.
Oh yeah.
And so that person ended up becoming someone so dear to me. We enjoyed a relationship, quick relationship, quickly pregnant.
Right.
So I'm 19 in my sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
a baby about to have a
Yeah.
baby, and having Jaden completely changed my life. I felt it was very untimely for me. I felt like because I didn't have an understanding of relationships, I didn't know how to navigate growing growing as a person, and then also having this child while I'm trying
Yeah.
to raise this child. So I had like a threefold challenge in
Already.
growth already at 19. Had Jaden when I was 20. His father and I were not together. We were back and forth trying to figure out life. Again, one of those growth challenges. How do we find ourselves together, and then raise this child? Unfortunately, he was killed in a motorcycle accident while Jaden was still a little baby. And so I just had all these challenges that I said, this threefold growth challenge.
Ooh,
and
out the
then
gate.
now
Okay.
I'm like, Lord, is this a mega challenge? I'm a gamer also. I have
Really?
kids, but I still make time for video
What
games.
you
I'm a gamer.
What you play?
Zelda
Oh,
all
come
day.
on. I thought you
Donkey
was
Kong, Crash Bandicoot. I am a Nintendo girl all the way.
okay.
Rocking with Nintendo. And so when that
Got you.
happened to me and Jaden's dad passed away, I am like, Lord, is this the boss challenge? Like, you gave me them 3 little challenge. Am I already facing my boss battle already? Like, I feel like my life hadn't even gotten started. So that's how it began. I struggled from then on trying to figure out, I had to stop going to school at Texas
College,
State. And I was trying to figure out how to get back on track, taking classes at a community college, doing what I could for work, and then found the first next man that loved me. And I was lacking in love. Let me tell you, I'm not ashamed to say I have been one of those women that have got into a relationship to fill a void. I enjoyed someone showing me love, and I needed that, and my son needed that. And I ended up getting married to this gentleman. And then I had my second child.
Okay.
Still had to really work through what happened with the first love, that first tragedy.
Well, let me pause for a second. So
yeah,
I don't want to gloss over anything because we gotta take our time. I'm with it. So so in that transition from having the death, obviously working with Jaden and him understanding as he's growing up, to the second marriage, where was, you said you knew it was a void, right? So how were you even able to get over that and to allow another man in your life, whether it was a void or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's still a big step, you know?
Yeah.
And
it
so
is.
how are you able, and even if, as I'm saying, even if it wasn't the right way, because there's no perfect way to how we live our lives, but at the time, like, what was your rationale to get into that marriage?
Okay, so Jaden's father passed away so young,
Yeah.
he didn't even remember him. He still doesn't. I just gave him a booklet of photos, like from when we were in the hospital, when I gave birth to him, like all those memories. And, so that's a challenge now with him being older. But back then, it was easy for him to transition because he was a toddler. And so the man that I took on as my husband was essentially the man who raised him. So he already saw him as a dad.
Okay.
So with his little self, he didn't know there was a void, but I know plenty of young Black men that have grown up without fathers and what that can lead to long term. So there was a void that existed that he just wasn't aware of, and he was too young to see like the ramifications of down the line. For me, Jay, honestly, I just desired love. I desired stability. I desired to plug that hole. It's like the old cartoons where you would see the Danish little cartoon characters trying to like plug the hole in the dam with their finger. That was me. Like, Lord, let me plug this hole. Like, let me try to force love and put myself in this situation,
you felt peace
so
with
maybe
your
it will
decision.
stop. Yes, it was a
at the time.
cognitive decision.
Okay.
Yep.
So it made sense to you. Okay, cool. So you're married until you had your second child, and then now we're here. So I was wondering. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Now we're here. I'm still very much in pain. Very much in pain from that. But trying. And that's something about me. I've never stopped trying. Now I'm wiser and I understand intentional effort versus throwing spaghetti at the wall.
I've always hated that statement.
Yeah.
I get it.
Is it gonna stick? Is it not? Why would you do it? It's messy. It's gross. Why?
Right. It gets everywhere. uh,
It's everywhere. But that's what it's like when you're
yeah,
in those moments. That's what it feels like.
yeah.
It's messy, it's dirty, and you get to the end, and you're like, why would I even go there? Like, why did I not stop myself? And so here we are. I'm in this relationship just because
Mm-hmm.
someone showed me love. Now let's talk about this, because your girl had no clue what love was. Love is
Okay.
not just being nice to someone to court them.
Right.
Love is not just introducing someone to your family and your friends and talking them up as the best thing since Jesus was born.
Mm.
Christmas. Um, Love is actually long-term, consistent kindness when
Yeah.
things get hard. Love is actually not talking me up to other people, but actually making sure that your actions edify me as such every day. Okay.
So they'll see it through his actions. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was different. That was my first realization that, I did something
Mm-hmm.
pretty bad that wasn't going to benefit me. And things started to tumble downhill quickly. I had Cameron, that's my middle daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then suffered the loss of my grandfather. So growing up, he was the man who poured into my life, who said what you said at the beginning of the podcast, wanting to uplift women,
Yeah,
the women
for sure.
around him. Knowing the challenges I would face as a Black woman, he gave me that. I would call him my earthly backbone, because I
Oh wow.
knew whether I'm next to him or not, whether me and John King Jr. are in the same city or not,
Yeah.
I am bucking up. I am going hard for what I believe, because I know I'm going to go tell my granddaddy, and my granddaddy's not going to care what you said.
Mm.
He's going to be my backbone so I can stand strong as I'm moving forward. And I lost that. And so while I was struggling in my relationship, I was living in Germany at that time because I married
Mm-hmm.
a soldier. And I would call my grandpa all the time. And I had started kind of telling him that things were going south before he passed.
Yeah.
And I remember the conversations that I had made me feel strong enough to make a decision to separate myself from something I got myself into that was negative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I felt that way when he was alive. My grandpa, again, and I don't want to skate over this, and let me just be clear for anybody who's looking at me and maybe my lack of emotion or lack of tears now. When I say these things, when I say my grandpa, the man that meant the most to me, died,
Mm-hmm.
when I say that my son's father, my first love, died, those things, they hurt. It's uncomfortable still for me on the inside to say those things.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to do is to show that you can still be hurt, but still be like in a positive, reflective state over what these people were to you. And so that's the emotion that I'm giving off. Jay,
Okay.
I
So
get that a lot. I'll talk
what?
about these things. I'll talk about these things and people are like, wow, I can't believe that you're just saying those things. And I'm like, well, I'm saying them because I've sat with them in private and I've
Uh-huh.
had those moments of crying. I've had those tears, but the tragedy and the trauma couldn't have kept me. It couldn't have kept its hold on me emotionally, or I wouldn't have been able to make it through anything else.
Hmm. So I was gonna say, I think who gave me that advice? I think when Ahmaud Arbery passed away, obviously it wasn't the first public black death, but for some reason I don't know what it was, but I did a whole podcast on it with Marcel. You might know him, yeah, right. So I was so angry. I mean, and it wasn't like an outward crazy anger. It was just like an internal, you seen the Avengers when he
Yes.
turned into the Hulk, and he was like, "How are you able to do that?" He was like, "Because I'm always angry." He was like, "Yeah, he was like,
Oh,
keeping up
yeah.
the constant, And so for me, and not to might be long winded, but we had like this little men's meeting for church, Pastor Camp on there and allowing people to kind of talk through everything. I ain't had nothing to say. But somebody talked about a process of like pain and trauma
Yeah.
and being able to deal with it. But what people forget is you have to allow yourself to feel it, and that's part of it. You have to allow yourself to go through it, because what most people think is like, oh, I'm strong, I'm cool, it's all right. I cried, had a one good cry and I'm done. No, like, be angry, be sad, be whatever you need to be for how long you need to be it. In my opinion, I just don't be like, I'm going this whirlwind of depression, but sometimes it is.
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know.
it is.
And
It
so,
is.
but I think it's just it's you have to be constructive with it, have people around you, keep help you through it. But feeling is like the most important part, because you never feel any closure. You'll never be able to talk about it on the podcast. You never be able to help other people. And what I've
Yeah.
seen is that people like living in it. People like posting about it. People like milking it. And it's like, okay, we get that you hurt. We get, everybody has different, like you said, everybody has different perspectives when people are talking about their own pain, because
Right.
we all have different viewpoints on how we do that. So it's, I like that you you explained it. And I always say, I'm talking like you say something. I'm speaking for the person who might be listening to saying this. I put like devil's advocate a lot, because people are so quick to put judgment on like stuff that you've been through. And so, like, if you're using your life and your trauma as a platform, as obviously a very sensitive topic, but you got to understand with the why I'm doing this, why I'm saying it. And that's with anything: heartbreak, a loss, whatever. It's just allowing people to have their own personal process.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
have to respect that. So
And I appreciate you for respecting that,
oh
because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
these are very sensitive areas of trauma in my life. We've already covered pretty much 3 traumatic events. The
Mm-hmm.
first, a life, a death, and now another loss.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this was heavy, and I was just 25.
Man.
This was between 19 and 25.
Goodness.
So the timeline is not even that great. That's like compounded trauma.
Yeah.
And so what we just discussed is not where I was then, because I hadn't really worked through Jaden's father's death, because I hadn't
Yeah. You had to keep
worked
going and
through,
push through. Yeah.
yeah, because I hadn't worked through how do I stop and like just live? Like, what does it mean to live and figure out love? Well, here's this person who's showing me what I think it is. Let me do this. And then
Mm-hmm.
it not working out. And then my grandfather passed away in a house fire with his mother, my great grandmother. And my family on my maternal side was so close. My great grandmother was like a
Yeah.
friend. I would go to her house from spring break from college in New
Oh wow.
Orleans. They would be like, "You going to New Orleans?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to my grandma Carrie's house, my great grandma's
Oh
house to hang
wow.
out." Because she was so fun. If you
So
know anything
cool.
about people from New Orleans,
Yeah, for
a
sure.
blast.
Can't ever
Oh
go
my
back
God.
though. Well, you actually like, how close were you like Bourbon Street, I guess, whatever. Cause
Very close.
okay, I went 3 times. I'm good. Maybe it was better after COVID. It cleaned up all the streets and everything, but I'm good.
I
I got
never
I
went as
got
a
stories.
tourist. I've never been as a tourist. I've
Well,
just been
that's
as
what I
like,
did. I tried to go do like what I guess somebody that was from there to do. I went there. One had that experience, but I would try to go like what a good restaurant said. Like,
yes,
I would
you
try
gotta
to
go to
do.
Uptown.
Yep, went to
Uptown.
Uptown for sure. Anyway, so
So
yeah.
we were that close.
Mm-hmm.
And so they ended up, after Hurricane Katrina, my great grandmother, we moved her here to Texas, and she was living with my grandfather at that time.
Mm-hmm.
When the house fire occurred, like I said, when he passed away, I was living in Germany. And I remember my grandmother, they were divorced, had been
Mm-hmm.
divorced since before I was born, but still really cohesive unit.
That's what's up.
Calls me on my German cell phone. I'm in the middle of the grocery store with my little 25-year-old self, with my baby Cameron, my middle daughter, my brand new baby, and
Yeah.
then my toddler, trying to keep them from grabbing stuff off the shelves, whining,
Mm-hmm.
crying. I remember it was the most hectic day in the grocery store. She calls me and I'm like, why is she calling me on my German cell phone? That's for like emergencies.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm watching the news. Your grandfather's house is on fire. Your aunt is rushing over there right now. And I was like, I stopped. I remember I froze in the store. And thank God for his angels. A lady that I knew of, we
Mm-hmm.
weren't friends, saw
Just
me
yeah.
like paralyzed in the aisle. I don't remember what happened after, but I remember that I was able to leave without my kids. She, I guess, was watching them until my husband at that time got there.
Yeah.
And I just went outside of the commissary because we were living on post.
Oh yeah.
Outside of the commissary, and I fell to my knees. I was sitting on the ground. I don't know how long I was there until my then husband came, and I was just sitting there stunned.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't process that. Things happened so fast. I had to catch a space safe flight back to Texas. I had to be the strong one for my mother, her sisters, all of my cousins. I was calling, canceling bills, dealing with people telling me I needed, well, do you have a death certificate? And I'm like, no, but my
Yeah.
grandpa's dead. Do you want me to send you a picture? Like, I
Right.
say that in jest, but that's how it makes you feel. And so here I am
You
having
being the
not
rock, and you
being
need
the
somebody.
rock, and
Yeah.
I still haven't even worked through anything from my
Own
immediate
trauma.
past.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I grieved really heavily. I just couldn't sleep. I think I dealt with grief after my grandfather with insomnia. I just tried to fill myself with browsing MySpace. I'm gonna date myself.
Yeah.
Browsing MySpace and Facebook, but Jay, whatever I could to stay awake so I didn't have to sleep
Mm.
and think about waking up another day to start over again. It almost felt like if I stayed awake, then there wouldn't be a new day for me to feel sad again. They would just
Mm.
run together, and that pain would just sustain. I couldn't let it get worse, and I didn't want to do the work to
Yeah.
make it easier. And it was like, let me just stay up so everything feels the same and I
Yeah.
can control that, because everything in me was out of control.
That's what we
My
talked about a
husband,
little bit. Was I guess. Well, I always use the example as, your brain, right? Your brain is a big. Oh wow, hold on. This thing is trying to mess up on me. Your brain is a big place for sure. And
yeah,
so we do a lot of things subconsciously. Your brain automatically wants to protect itself. It wants to, be better. It wants to, push all the trauma and the pain away, not dealing with it, but it wants to just push and he just needs to operate throughout that day. And so when I went to therapy, we talked about that for a little bit. And she was like, what's your day look like? I'm like, what? I'm talking about my family. She's like, no, what does your day look like? What do you do? What time you go to sleep? All these other different things. I'm just wondering, like, but then it hit me. It's like you were just talking about, what am I doing after, even a year or two after? What have I done? And what does my new life look like to, operate and deal with all this stuff that's been going on? So like, we talked about me drinking. That's big signs though. Big signs of drinking, not sleeping, but it's the small stuff that you do. You might have a good friend come in your life, but you just automatically push them away because you're not ready for new relationships.
right.
All you know is your life, your children, or your wife, whatever you got going on, but nothing new can come in it. You're just trying to hold
Mm-hmm.
on to the things that you have that are constant. Uh,
Right.
you have that are still here, that are true. They won't lie to you. They won't die. They won't nothing. Just here.
Mm-hmm.
This is my circle, and that's usually how we start spiraling. And so,
Yeah.
you being that strong person, for your family is crazy. You're not having to deal with your own stuff.
And I was losing everything you said, everything that we want, things
Yeah.
that are stable, things that we can expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as human beings, we crave that, right? Like, we
Yeah.
crave the known. People can be living at very varied levels of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
A controlling person is oftentimes thought of as, oh, that's a terrible person, or that's a horrible
Yeah.
character flaw to have, to be controlling. But in some way, we all as humans like to have a little control over our world.
Mm-hmm.
And I could say at that time, I didn't have that.
Wow.
Everything that I thought I knew, the people that I thought I could grow with, the people that I trusted, were just being taken away from me. And it led to the demise of that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my grief, there were a lot of things that transpired instead of my then husband meeting me and helping me work through it, he
Yeah.
kind of went the other way, and we'll just leave it at that. He went the opposite direction, and went further away from my pain. And so it didn't work out. And I struggled though to leave because, and this was the important part about me mentioning my grandfather, while he was alive, I felt I could do whatever and I'm coming out on top. You know, if I fall, he's got me emotionally, physically. His words were so powerful and encouraging. And I have one man in my life now that does that. It's my cousin who I love so much.
Yeah.
But I had never experienced a man whose words were so powerful, that made me feel like a man here on earth, that made me feel like, just by you saying, yes, you can. Yeah, I can do that. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with that being gone, the relationship was broken and spiraling, but I struggled to leave for a while. I think I stayed around for 7 months after I knew it was over. And after I knew, some terrible things were happening within the marriage, just because I had to figure out a way to be my own backbone. I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't call my grandfather anymore.
Yeah.
I ended up going and getting a tattoo right before I left. I have King, my granddaddy's last name, on my rib cage right next to my heart. And after that, I was like, no, like I've got a way that I can feel him with me every day. I got to take what he was already teaching me to do on my own. He wasn't telling me these things so he could be my crutch. He was teaching me these things
so you could be
I
strong.
believe, so that I could be strong for a day when he was gone, so that I would then learn those lessons and have had those patterns and habits set up, so that it would just be his legacy continuing. And so I got it together at that point. And this was in 2010. And I was like, I'm out. And that's when I started my first real long-term season of single parenthood.
And right before we get to that, don't let me lose the thought. We got to hear a word from our sponsors right in the middle of the podcast. I didn't want to forget, but we'll see y'all in just about 2 seconds. All right. And we're back after our sponsor. Yeah, I said sponsor. We're just talking about that in the intermission. Your boy's coming on up. I forgot. It's a nice shirt company they were supporting right now. So it's a pretty dope brand. I should be wearing that shirt right now, but I'm not. But I'll put the link in the bio. So we were making a transition on to, at this point in time of your story, you're in single motherhood, 2 children. I mean, to bring people up to speed is a lot of trauma, obviously. And how old are you at this point? Are we
Oh my
talking
God.
19, 25?
2010.
20,
I'm 25 years old, about to be
25.
26. Yeah.
Not knowing that 2020 is going to be the worst year ever.
Ever.
You remember? Do you remember everybody was talking about 2010? All the 10s supposed to be like the worst years ever, and I think 2020 took the cake.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where were you at this point in as far as like maintaining control and trying to maneuver in your life?
Man, so at this point, I am like flailing. When I tell you, I had no clue about anything. So 2 kids in, just 1 divorce under my belt.
Yeah.
Still hadn't completed college. So here I am out here, brave enough to leave this bad situation, but feeling so unprepared for whatever's going to happen next. And now I've got to step up and be a provider for myself and my kids.
Yeah.
And so I struggled because I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to do things the traditional way. And every time I tried, it just never worked out. It became too financially expensive. It became a stressor. Any of my moms or dads listening know that hiring a caregiver is also an additional stressor on you. You have to worry about, like, is this person nurturing my kid? Are they gonna call
Just
in sick
safety in
on a day I
general,
need
right?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's safety, it's convenience. There are all these different stressors that come into play, and I was carrying a lot, and so it just never really worked out in the way that I wanted it to for me to complete my last 2 years of college. And so I just got real with myself. Outside of the relationship trauma, and the traumatic events with death that I'd
Mm-hmm.
experienced, we didn't talk about that I was still a 19-year-old that was very clear on what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Texas State as a young little 17-year-old, still couldn't get in the club with my friends, had to stay in
Right.
my dorm, mad. It was probably good for me though.
Yeah, for sure.
When I came to Texas State, I was very clear. I went in with marketing and pre-law as my career path.
I could see you as a
The
lawyer.
pre-law,
I could see that.
really? Me?
Yes. It's your what's the word? Your cadence. I love the word cadence. Obviously, speaking is what I do,
Yeah.
but I always pay attention to people's cadence. Whenever I go visit like a new church or go to any type of event, I see their stature, I see their cadence, how they if they make a mistake, how they kind of gloss over it, move forward, not able to be shaken easily in their speech. And there's this phrase like they say, 80% of people are afraid of public speaking, the other 20% are lying. You heard that? And so I
Yeah.
feel like we're in that 20% because initially you kind of not lying to yourself, but you take yourself to a place to where, hey, this has to be done regardless. So these little nerves,
Got to
we.
go.
So
Got
anyway,
to
yeah,
go.
I think you could be very good in your speaking role. Obviously, it's what you're doing now, but I can see,
Yeah.
yeah,
So little old me already knew I'm
uh-huh,
coming for the corporate law industry. I knew that being in corporate or commercial law
mm-hmm,
was going to be a chain breaker for other Black people to come after me and my family. I feel like
yeah,
there's still now, I'm grateful to see, Black attorneys all over. I have some that are the greatest friends of mine, but
mm-hmm,
back then it's just, okay, it was just one typical career path, but I wanted to go to the top because I wanted to have a greater impact. So little old me at 17 already knew that. And I wanted to get my marketing degree because I
yeah,
wanted to really understand business concepts, right? And then
mm-hmm,
also how to market myself as I'm going into walking out my career as an attorney. And so I still had those dreams. Even
yeah,
after all of that loss, I still was very clear career wise. I'm great at marketing. Maybe the law
mm-hmm,
part can fall off, but for right now, with what I've already learned, all the classes that I was in, when I came into
yeah,
school, I had clept out of a lot of basic courses. So by my sophomore year, I was already in some major course study.
yeah, for sure,
And I knew, okay, like these concepts, duh, like it just came natural to me. Like as a marketer, wouldn't you do this? Or
mm-hmm,
wouldn't you try this? Wouldn't you make this decision? And so I knew that that was a skill that I was gifted with, the ability to just naturally know what the next move was to progress a business.
mm-hmm,
And so I went for it. I was like, I'm not going to stop with that just because I don't have my degree and I'm back in Killeen, Texas,
yeah.
outside of Fort Hood. Sorry to all my people listening from Killeen, my friends, my
Sorry,
family that
y'all.
are going to listen. I'm not talking about y'all, but
But the
I am
rest of
so
y'all.
glad. I am so glad that I am not there
Yeah.
anymore because
It
there are not a lot of career opportunities there.
it seems that um it's either relational or like, you know, people's like purpose. So like let me explain. So it's either like we have issues with like our personal life or we have a lot of issues with like our business,
Right.
our job, career life. It's always one or the other that we have to balance for me. I think it's for me, it's like career for sure. It took me a while. I tell people all the time, it took me a while to find like my purpose, like, and then you build upon it. Because even once you find it, it's like now we got to enact this thing. And it's a whole nother beast. But I always ask people and myself, like, I wonder which one will be worse. Like having a strong family foundation, interpersonal relationships, and having a sucky work life. I mean, my job is cool. It's straight. But like I feel way more comfortable here than recruiting and stuff now. But I feel like my life is really gonna begin after I get out. Like I'm setting
Mm.
myself up, no Tact Talk, the different speaking engagement stuff that I'm doing for when I get out, because I still gotta have that foundation. And it seems like
Right.
we're always robbing Peter to pay Paul at different stages of our life. So okay, now I gotta focus on this. This gotta sacrifice. Now I gotta focus on this, and it's just a back and forth. So you finding that balance was crazy.
And that's where I was as a
Yeah.
single mom, still like, okay, finding balance. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you said it. Let's go there. So for me, that first time, it was really hard to get to a place of consistency. My balance was like this
Mm-hmm.
or this. Okay. There was never any time where things were kind of close to the middle.
Yeah.
And that process though taught me a lot, because I remember Jaden started playing t-ball and basketball, and I remember I couldn't go to some of his games because at that point I was working at a real estate
Yeah.
company, and
Oh
I
yeah.
had to be at their model home until
Mm-hmm.
7 p.m. every day, so I would miss his games.
Wow.
I would work on the weekends. On Sundays, I would get up, get them ready, go to church, have to drop them off with the babysitter, and then
Mm-hmm.
work the rest of the day because model homes are still open on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I was checking the box off. I was getting some sort of marketing experience
Mm-hmm.
to add to my resume to build me up to be where I am today. That was my goal then. I knew that if I couldn't have that almost meeting in the middle balance,
Yeah.
that I had to take the risk while my kids were young. And I feel like a lot of people don't think about that.
Okay.
I would much rather take my career, the greatest career risks while my
Yeah.
kids are young and they don't remember that I'm not around, or Jaden doesn't remember that I missed a whole season of basketball games. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't remember that. He was
Okay.
6, but he'll remember now. He
Well,
wants
it's
to
the
see his
ability to be able to
mom.
make those hard decisions. I see a lot of people like, uh, feeling so bad on themselves because they can't be at every game. They want to do these things. Obviously, you want to be there, right? But it's just like having a birthday party for a 1-year-old. It's really for everybody else. It ain't really for the
Yes.
kid.
Yeah.
It's like they're not gonna remember, the 1-year-old
Mhm.
cake. So it's being able to make those decisions, and
Yeah.
through. I'm sure it's a lot of anxiety. 100%. I'm not downplaying how you
So much
feel,
anxiety,
but
and I
having
don't
the
want to take away from
yeah,
that.
having the wherewithal to make that big girl, big man
Mhm.
decision. So
Yeah, but at 26, I'm like 26, 27, I'm like, man, I have to boss up, because if
yeah,
I
for sure.
really want something for myself, I've got to make the sacrifices. And it hurt. Like, it hurt really bad because I was still very youthful and
Mm-hmm.
immature in my thought process. Now, if I was in my 30s and I had young kids and I had to make that decision,
Mm-hmm.
it might feel a lot different than now, or than before. But I feel like I wasn't, so the decision to pour into my career and make that sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
early wasn't something that was like all the way intentional. It's like the opportunities kept coming to me and I had to
Yeah.
choose. I had to choose.
Mm.
Stop this train because you want to go out with your friends. Your friends all graduated college. They're in their first career jobs.
Yeah.
They're traveling the world. They're going here and there. Stop because you want to go out with them, or stop because you're going to let mom guilt overtake you and you'd much rather be there for these events
Mm-hmm.
versus pushing yourself to be who your kids are going to need you to be when they actually are going to remember
Yeah.
the impact you made on their life. And so I didn't sit there. I wasn't like having this grand epiphany, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Yay. The
Yeah.
opportunities came and I had to make a choice.
Okay.
And honestly, and I don't feel guilty about it because of where I am now. Honestly, I made the choice to pour into the financial security of my kids and my family. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of parents need to sit with that a little bit, think about that, and figure out what guilt you need to get rid of,
Mm-hmm.
because part of your legacy building activity is going to always include limiting something that you got to do right now. So to
Mm-hmm.
build a legacy, you're going to have to take away some of the joys of now.
Yeah.
So why not do it at an age where your kids aren't going to be so affected by it? And why not also do it at a stage in your life where then you're young enough to bounce back and take those chances and maneuver and grow? I wouldn't wait, and I wouldn't have made a different decision. So that's what I did. I started getting these little
Mm-hmm.
tiny obscure jobs in Colleen, like
Yeah.
the craziest jobs. Didn't even hold them for long, barely kept the job for a year.
Right.
Don't feel bad about it, because in each job, they might feel bad about it. I don't,
They'll
because in
be all
each
right.
job, at each job, I got the skills that I needed to build up my resume so that I could still stand next to someone with a college degree and let my experience show I could do the job better than them.
Oh yeah, experience. I feel like experience beats, degree any day. Degree obviously is a foundation, but I tell people that all the time in recruiting. Like they're gonna want you to have some type of experience. That's what's gonna set you apart. At a certain level, you all got the same thing, same degree. Yeah, you might do like an internship here and there, but that definitely, especially in the trade world. Oh my goodness, 1 year
Yeah.
in the trade world is like a master's degree almost.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So, we're here now. You're making those decisions. I want to know what was fueling you besides your children, because obviously
Yeah.
children's a big, influencer for you to be great and to just not stop. Because
Mm.
you hear a lot of motivational speakers, they'll talk about just being able to start. I think it's hard for a lot of people to start, even with these influencers and these major life, what's the word? I don't know, these people in our lives, these situations where we feel like we should be at this particular age. The world, kind of society, telling us we need to be at a certain place, but like, how do we get there? How do we do? It's kind of easy to talk about it with working out. You just got to do it. It's hard enough in itself when you're making career and life decisions. What fueled you to do it and to start and to just not be stagnant or just to depend on people around you? You could have really just been comfortable, stay where you was, had a
Yeah.
decent little job, one of those jobs you said you worked at, probably worked your way up and just been comfortable,
Right.
right? So what made you want more in that situation?
Honestly,
Yeah.
for me, this is very superficial. I'm
Okay.
not a superficial person,
No
but
tact.
for this, right, no tag. I'm telling on myself. I have
There
to
you
be
go.
real if I'm coming to no tech talk. This was a very superficial decision. I wanted to catch up to my friends.
Okay.
So
It's whatever that fuels you though. I don't think that's bad.
my
Yeah.
college core group of
Yeah.
friends, they were all human resources,
Yeah.
clinical laboratory sciences, getting their like career jobs,
Yeah.
making great money. And I said, well, why can't I still? Just because I have these kids, why can't I still? And I used that. It wasn't a envy, I want what they have. Oh, I wish and I regret that I didn't have it the way they had it. No, it was, what if I'm around a group of women that are excelling? I want to step up to
You
the
could do
plate.
that too.
I could do that too, and we could all be together, because I want to go
Mm-hmm.
on those trips and not have to worry about how I'm going to put food on the table the next week.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go on those trips and not worry about missing my rent and having to call for an extension.
Right.
I want to be on that playing field because I want to enjoy my life and I want to be able to participate in the same things that my peers are. And I don't want to let me having 2 kids stop me, because I knew I had the drive. And so that's essentially what I use. My friends would grow and prosper, and I would be like, okay, well, let me figure out what I can do to keep propelling myself on that same level. So I would joke and I would tell them back then, like, you guys keep going, because if
Yeah.
you stop, then I'm going to stop,
Okay.
because I'm chasing I'm chasing my purpose and my passion, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also chasing my desire to be normal.
Great.
Okay. Normal
Great.
and
I love
good.
it.
Like, as a young woman
Mm-hmm.
who has any type of like career goals and dreams for themselves, you want to be where your peers are.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody could lie and say that they don't. There's always a time in every industry where you might feel like someone's getting ahead of you and you're like, oh, I need to catch up. It can either be from, a good angle, like I
Yeah.
had it just propelled me, or it can be from anger and envy. Like, then you sink into the whole of, woe is me, my life is like this. And then it stifles you. So
Yeah.
it's like, choose. Use the people around you to elevate, or use it to buy into the complaints you already have
That's
about
what
your
I'm
life.
saying. It doesn't have to be anything that deep. Like, did you see the Last Dance of Michael Jordan? You saw that?
Yeah.
The
Oh my gosh.
dude used
3 times.
anything. Yeah, right. I did it twice. But the dude used anything to motivate him. Oh, that man said something about my shoestrings. Now I gotta go win this championship. Like, what?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And so it's a lot of times I hear these podcasts, or I hear my own podcast. I'm like, man, we touched on that a bunch, or I might have talked about that before. But I think probably the best job that I had was being a personal trainer and understanding how the mind works with people. And it like the first 3 weeks was we meeting at Starbucks. We're not working out. We're not stretching. I need to know your why. I need to know what's really getting at you. Because to even get to the point of having a personal trainer, it's a lot. You paying somebody to make you hurt if you think about it. You're paying somebody to put you in pain. And
Right.
so, but it's more than just that because it's everybody want to look good. I get that. You want whatever, right? But it's usually more than just wanting to look good. It's an empowerment. It's a place. So hey, I want to look. It would make me feel good to look good on the beach, to be able to wear like a 2-piece, or just not wear whatever. And even for guys, like, yeah, man, I want that gut, dog. I'm trying to whatever, but it was still like a self-esteem thing. And so I say all that to say is like we have to find that it doesn't matter. Make
Right.
something up. you know,
Yeah.
make
Whatever you
something
need.
up to get you
Mm-hmm.
to that next level, no matter your situation. Man, if you got the
Oh
flu
yeah.
or whatever, like Michael Jordan, or if you got 2 kids, or if whatever, and I think people forget to just like fake it till you make it. Like
Mm-hmm.
me and my sister were talking about, we had an episode, she had a company called Nailtopia. And so she'll put out these little things on Facebook. Hey, got 2 slots left. I used to do the same thing when I was personal training. I first got started. Got 2 slots left for July.
Marketing tactic.
Get it
I
in,
get it.
and
Yeah.
so like 4 people hit me up. Oh yeah, man, I got you. You got the last slot. Good job. Blah, blah, blah. And so or the tattoo artist. No tattoo artist on the planet is gonna tell you his first through 50th maybe tattoo, right? So it's about you taking that step and believing yourself in these hard situations. So that's super dope. That's
Yeah,
super
so
dope.
that's basically what I did. And yeah, I had those Michael Jordan-esque
Yeah.
experiences along the way. I had family telling me I could not be where I am today. We haven't even
Yeah.
gotten to where I am now. And
Yeah.
it's not that grand, but the fact that people would limit you from just living a comfortable life while you're chasing your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted, what I knew I wanted most in what I would pray for, letting you in on the Sierra prayer,
Mm-hmm.
not about a husband, but about how to ask God for the financial future you want. I didn't
Yeah.
ask him for a Benz. I would love to drive a Mercedes. I think I will one day. I would love to have a mansion in Lakeway.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will one day. But what I asked him was, Lord, get me to a place where I am comfortable day to day
Mm-hmm.
so I can uncomfortably chase my legacy. Because what we're not talking about is how all of those traumatic events kind of put me in that single Black mom stereotype
Yeah.
bubble, right? Like, look at that on paper, what I just told you.
Yeah.
This woman's not going to become anything. This woman's going to fall in the system.
Correct.
She's going to be waiting on her TANF check, waiting on her
Mm-hmm.
EET card to be refreshed. She is going nowhere.
Right.
And for me, no,
Mm-hmm.
I want God to meet my immediate needs. Lord, help me, whatever I can do, like use this grit and drive to get me to where I don't have to worry about how my basic needs are met. I want the basics covered, like
Mm-hmm.
auto pay everything, not batting an eye, not blinking an eye when that check hits the account, because
Yeah.
I know everything is good. When I'm comfortable with the basics, then I can uncomfortably chase my legacy.
Whew.
And that is what I prayed for. And there were
Woo.
people praying against me meeting
Yeah.
the basics,
Yeah.
telling me I wouldn't meet the basics. I remember once, can I tell you a quick
You
story?
sure?
So, I mean, we've been on this podcast for a while. Why not just throw in a quick
I told
tangent?
you, I'm chilling. I got my tea. I'm cool. So however long you want to go.
So, I remember way back after I left the relationship with my first husband,
Right.
I got my first duplex. When I tell you I had the classifieds, I'm dating myself all throughout this interview, so
Let's
whatever.
go. Let's go.
I looked at the classified section in the newspaper, called a friend in Killeen to send me the paper when I was living in Kentucky
Mm.
to look in the classified so I could call ahead and get a job before I left him and came to Texas. Got a job, stayed with my parents for like 2 months,
Yeah.
got my first duplex by myself with me and my 2 kids.
Solid.
And I remember hitting a rough patch where, you know, when you live in paycheck to paycheck, sometimes that paycheck is off and you got a
Yeah.
bill that's
Oh
due.
man. Depending on when the 15th
Woo!
hit, when the first hit,
Whew.
you praying for February to get here again so you can get paid
Yes.
3 days early. Oh man, yeah.
Yes, that bill is due.
The
That bill
bill
is due, but the check is not coming
not
till
there.
like 3 or 4 days later.
Whew.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember calling my parents. I called my mom first and
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, my light bill is $50. I don't have it right now, but I'm going to get paid later.
Yeah.
Can you help me? And she said, no.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to call my dad.
Right. I
So
was
I call
like, let
my
me call you
dad.
back.
And then I'm like, Daddy, you know, girls and their dads, Daddy, I can't pay this bill. It's not because I'm mismanaging my funds. It's literally, I just got between a rock and a hard place. So
Yeah.
he says, well, what does your mom say?
They done already
Dang, he
talked.
said
She done
no.
already
They
texted him or
already talked.
something.
I tell him, well,
Mm-hmm.
she said no. He said, well, I guess it's a no. And I remember the day that my lights got cut off. I remember waking up, and I was even on a prepaid electricity plan. I would prepay for my energy in advance
Yeah,
because
just
I
for
was
these
that,
moments. Yeah.
yeah, I was that down and out. And so I remember waking Jaden up for school that morning, and before he could even comment about the light, I didn't want him to find it, right? So
Yeah.
I like rushed around the house. I think I went to the dollar store that night, and like I had like $2 or $3. I got like a couple big
Yeah.
candles, and then I
Yeah.
already had like some little candles around the house. I lit them all and I made it like a whole experience. We're up
Nice.
before the sun rises, getting ready. Then the sun comes up. We're gonna sit at the table and eat our breakfast.
Yeah.
Got him to school. He didn't know. We ate by candlelight each of those nights for 3 days until my lights came back on. When I tell you, Jay, those moments and memories, I remember, it makes me
Yeah.
not want to go back, but I also remember the people that allowed me to be in those positions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt bad about it then. And I felt like, oh man, my parents should help me
Like you by
pay
yourself. Yeah.
my light bill. But now I'm like, no, thank you for not paying that light bill. Okay, thank you for not believing that
Mm.
it wouldn't happen to me again. Because since it hasn't happened again. So yes, in that Michael Jordan-esque way,
Mm-hmm.
throw me all those obstacles because I'm gonna turn it and use it to make me remember why I got to keep moving forward and why I need to continue to meet the basics so that now we don't have to worry about when our lights are on and off and mom is comfortably
Mm-hmm.
going for her legacy. So
And it's like, so I always sound like, people tell me I'm arrogant sometimes. People tell me, Jay, you just, everything ain't just so positive. Life sucks sometimes. Sometimes you gotta take the L. And I was just like, I can't accept that, you know. And so I didn't want to lose this thought either. You talking about your granddad and other things. So like, I tell people I didn't have like that grandma. I had a grandma obviously and a granddad. On sides. My dad's family. I didn't know them. Like my grandma on my dad's side passed when I was like 2. And then I didn't really know them at all. And then my mom's side, I had experiences with them, but they live like other parts of the country, so I never had like their grandma. They like could like throw down in the kitchen, put her foot in them greens. Never had none of that. People always talk about the grandma. I'm like, I never had it. So like, I was the I don't know if I told you, but I was on the bridge. Like my dad was once married, mom was once married, both had 2 children, had me. All right, so for me, even like everything that you said, that's why this is so therapeutic for me too, because I get to kind of understand people through that. Because I always just felt, I wouldn't say alone. I ain't trying to be all sad, but like, you know, I I have to. I'm so much in my head that it wasn't until like my nephew just passed, like a while back, like this year, that I felt anything about death ever,
mm,
ever. You will
mm,
pass, die, whatever, but I never felt nothing. Because I'm always looking ahead because I never really had anybody that I was tethered to or connected to. So probably like, and I think about I think about these things all the time. Just like, man, what what do I get emotional about? What makes me feel? And so in that, I'm channeling all that energy and that, I guess that thought process into what I'm doing, because for now, like, this podcast, that's what I'm emotional about. That's what I'm taking serious. That's what I'm putting my all into, because it took me so long to find my purpose. Now I got to work it, and now I'm working it. And now I'm like creating these things in my head to propel me to move forward.
Yeah.
Because for me, like you were just talking about, for me, like, I always tell this story when I was able to sit in my Honda Civic is that great gas mileage, but when I was able to sit in my Honda, and I remember walking back to my front seat and just like listen to the radio or whatever, like, and letting the gas thing do its, I didn't have to think about if it was $5, $10. I didn't even know what the gas price was, right? That was momentous for me. And so then I got to a certain level to where I was very financially comfortable. Everything was going good. I was married. And I was like, at that point, I could have accepted, it's good. I'm cool. I could fly home.
Right.
I could go on this vacation I need to. The average, upper middle class, whatever, right? So then I remember, usually my epiphanies are through other people's. Then I remember giving this guy some advice about, he will elevate you as high as you want to go. So
Right.
yeah, all right, boom. Have a relationship with God. All right, you get baptized, or you get saved, and you in heaven. Your ticket, you good. But then you have like spiritual gifts. Then you have like, you know, discernment, and you have like levels that God can take you. But God over there,
Mm-hmm.
like with his arms crossed, like, all right, you good. Do you want more? I'm just putting
Right.
a little filler out there. You can always go deeper in me if you want, but if you don't, I'll see you in a couple years, right? And you can I always tell people, I look at Christianity, or my relationship at least, on both ends. Usually, you ain't got to believe in nothing; it still can make sense whether you believe in God or you don't. So that's a whole other conversation. But when you really look at yourself, it's just like, do I really want to accept where I'm at? Do I
Right.
really want to just? And it's not. I call it mediocrity. Now, to somebody else, oh Jay, you got it. You good. You got this. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but to me, it's just what I'm supposed to have. And to them, that's their Mount Everest. And I try to make it where I never have a Mount Everest. I want to
Right.
keep going as high as I can. Let's see how far I can stretch this life. Let's see how far I can, push this thing.
Right.
Once I get to a certain level, if I feel myself evening off, I'm like, nah, can't do it. Can't get, And
I
so
get it. I get it.
I'm looking at you, I'm listening, and I'm just like, okay, society telling her she should be one way. Parents are saying that she should be here, there. Her children looking up at her every day, like, what's up? And it's just like, you never really settled. I'm sure you had your moments again, but you never really settled. You never really allowed yourself to be a statistic, or to be
No.
a stereotype. And
No.
it's just your ability to tap in, I think, is I had to put an applause somewhere in here. I gotta make sure I remember to put it. But it's just like, everybody has that, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tap into it?
Right.
Are you just cool with just that one? And everybody want to go to like Mexico. I don't ever gotta go to Mexico again. I know it's super random. You good with that one Mexico trip a year for summer? You take all your pictures and stuff, and then you right back living paycheck to paycheck, right back going to the same clubs and or whatever you doing, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. But
You know?
remember, that's the life I wanted, because that's kind of how my friends were living,
Well, no, you're seeing that,
But
but
I
that's
chose the
about.
opposite. Yeah,
Well, I'm saying you're seeing them be great, but you still wanted to be great in your own right. If you call it
I
normal,
did.
I think it's being great. I think it's
Oh.
taking your you said it yourself, your circumstances, society is telling you supposed to be in one way. You was, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not accepting that. So to you, that's the point. You wanting to be normal is everybody else is great. That's why I'm pretty sure
Wait a minute.
I'm pretty sure
Wow. Can we run that back? Run that back
you
again.
being you trying to be normal to everybody else is great. So that's why I'm like, if I come off arrogant, I just come off arrogant. If I come off too much or too positive or whatever people be saying, it is what it is, because I see something greater for myself. Again, it's got nothing to do with God. That's a whole other realm that you can tap into as well. Supernatural 50 cal on your side right there, pop out, right? But even if you believe in nothing, bro, sis, you got something that you can tap into that's a part of you. we're no different than Oprah, Beyonce, Jay-Z, whoever you like, right? They just
Mm-hmm.
took an opportunity, didn't take no for an answer. I always use J. Cole as an example. Like, he was outside Rock Nation for like weeks, in the rain, snow, whatever,
Weeks.
waiting,
Weeks.
for the opportunity, because that's something that he wanted. He didn't allow society or the world to tell him, "Nah, bro, you just another guy rapping."
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anybody could be a famous rapper. They just wanted it bad enough. They just tapped in bad enough. Whatever your passion is, they
Yeah,
just do it. So
I
that's my little
agree.
soapbox.
I agree. So then, okay, Jay, here we are, and
Here we
I'm,
are.
pouring into my career, seeing the fruits of that. I ended
Yeah.
up getting a contract with South by Southwest, the music
Yeah.
festival here in Austin, for all of your followers who may not be here.
Right.
Working with Movement 50, which is a huge diversity initiative built on getting speakers of color, people of color in the
Mm-hmm.
seats to hear these speakers,
Mm-hmm.
getting programming to make young innovators feel comfortable with attending the interactive portion of the conference. Typically, like growing up here, and then going to college here, typically you'll see a lot of Black folks go
Yeah.
to South by Southwest for the music
Mm-hmm.
portion because they just want to go around and see the concerts.
Just
But
vibe.
what
Yeah.
about, yeah, because that's where they make us feel welcome, right? Like, most of the mainstream artists
Yeah.
are of color. And so that kind of bottles people in, because there's two others like sessions of programming. There's
Mm-hmm.
film and there's interactive.
Yeah.
Why are Black people not attending each in the way they should? At the interactive conference, that's where businesses are built,
A lot of
connections are
vendors. Yeah.
made.
Correct.
And so I was marketing director over that initiative for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was like, whoa, here I was doing these little crazy jobs in Colleen, could see that I was doing them intentionally, but didn't know how it
Mm-hmm.
would benefit me. And then I got that opportunity and I was like, yes, everything that I had been doing
Yeah.
worked up to this point. And now this is a bigger platform for me to build my marketing career, because I still even want to go higher than
Yeah.
just South by. That's still local. That's regional. I
That
want
should
to be
just
on
be
the
like on a
national
regular
level.
docket, right? Yeah, I do side by next week. It's
Yeah,
whatever.
I do this regional festival,
That's just some of my little. Yeah, I'm looking for other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And so then, I get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And then I start to think too that I'm becoming, and we talked about this delicate subject, I'm
Mm-hmm.
becoming this woman that could take her life one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already been through all that heartbreak and trauma. I could never want a man again. And my career was good. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was doing what I needed to do
Yeah.
so that my kids would have a good financial future. But then I was like, no, because I still feel like God promised me love. Like, I still feel like that's one of his promises to us. It's still available to me. I don't know why or what I would have
Yeah.
done to had that taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, so now how do I navigate this career thing and this motherhood thing while still keeping a part of me open to growing into the woman
Mm-hmm.
that is going to attract the man that God has for me.
Right.
So we talk in threes. So I had that threefold challenge after Jaden's father passed away. I feel like this was the second time I dealt with like that threefold challenge.
Okay.
And it's always been around growing in 3 different areas at the same time.
Ooh.
Like, that's happened to me 2 times in my life, very
Okay.
pivotal moments. And so here I am again, trying to figure out, am I going to just let the rest of my 20s roll by, go into my 30s and just,
Yeah.
raise my kids? Or am I going to allow love? And so I started to work on that part of me and, let my heart be more soft. And then I met an old college friend. We linked back up and
Right.
I moved from Killeen to Austin because I was still doing the South by work. And then there was more freelance work for me to do.
For
Because
sure.
when you have a contract like that, you just do the work you need to fulfill the contracts. Like, you're not in an office from 9 to 5. And so I still had more hours of the day to earn income and gain experience. So I moved out here to Austin. Me and that old college friend linked up. Boom, boom, boom.
That's all she
Married.
wrote, right?
Pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
Okay. Pregnant with
Whew.
twins. Whew. 2 more kids. And when I had them,
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt like God gave me twins and he gave me a boy and a girl because it was kind of like my do-over. So let me
Mm-hmm.
explain that. You know, as a parent, there's not a lot of chances for a do-over. You have to have like a partridge family
Mm-hmm.
to really get it right, right? By that
Yeah.
6th kid, oh, you are parent of the year. But that first child, whoo,
Right.
we just glad they made it out and that they
Yeah.
still love you, you know? And
Yeah.
so I never wanted a lot of children, but I felt like that was very purposeful. They were an opportunity for me to do this over. There were those early sacrifices I had to make
Mm-hmm.
for Jaden and Cameron. There was the loss of Jaden's father and then the divorce with Cameron's dad. And I was determined if I
Yeah.
had these kids, I was going to do this again to where that was not the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And we both know that is my current outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So here is a single parent again.
yeah. And so I've saw kind of the tail end of that, of you kind of, making the greatest lemonade I've ever seen. you know. Um
It's the sweetest,
I mean, it's
the
the
cup refills on its
on
own,
its
Jay.
own. When you
On its
think
own.
about it, it's just there. Automatic refills, the best type of sugar. It's not even like the artificial sugars, they like that cane sugar.
No, no.
They good sugar. No. I have seen you just kind of still flourish, still do your thing, still be a boss, for lack of better words. And we've touched on the motivational piece. We touched on kind of like, tapping into it. And so I feel like that you're like a modern day superhero. We talk about superheroes a lot here on the podcast. We'll get to that here in a second. But you where you are now, and it's so super cliche, but it's where you're
Very,
supposed to be.
very.
It
So
sucks, but it is where you're
it
supposed to
sucks.
be.
It sucks. Let me tell you, this is one of
Yeah.
those disclaimers again. I might be smiling, I might be talking to you
But
regularly, but
I empathize for sure.
so
It takes talks like this. I feel like I'm
I
telling you,
believe it
like
does.
even having this conversation, I'm sure you have a million of them, but it takes talks like this to even work through your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we talked about therapy a lot too. That's why it's so important to just because all a therapist is a guide through your own brain. I feel like you just in a boat, they just kind of going left, going right. Okay, let's go down these stairs.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so, what? Let's do more on a positive side. What motivation, or could you tell somebody that could be in your situation, that's a single mother or anybody just needs it? What could you just tell them to keep going, to find their why, their Michael
Yeah.
Jordan moment?
Their Michael Jordan moment. So yeah, what I would say is from the beginning, like you have to be able to see past the pain to
Mm-hmm.
remember where you're going. So I was still able to come out of that early 5 years of my young adulthood being
Yeah.
riddled with trauma and still look back to teenage me who kind of knew where she was going and build off of that. So
Okay.
the first thing I would say is to never let your pain make you lose sight of what your past thoughts were, what your past dreams were. Like you have to figure out a way to go back there. Therapy can help.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting with your pain and really working through that can help you get clear on here's what I once wanted. Does that still work for me or not?
Yeah.
Does it? And I can just keep going, or do I need to amend it? But at least
Mm-hmm. You're not giving up on your
you
dreams and
you're
yourself.
not giving up and you're not letting your pain consume you in a way that you forget what you wanted. Like never let your pain make you forget that. I will tell that to any woman forever. I don't care what happens. And this year is a testament. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
let what's happening deter you from where you said you wanted to be. Pick that up
Mm-hmm.
and keep it going, or amend it and figure out a new path. The second thing I would say is for women like me at that pivotal point before my most recent marriage, my second marriage, when I said I was trying to prepare myself to be attractive to the man that God wants for me, we talked about the lesson there was, why am I making myself attractive to that man? I need to make myself attractive to God. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're God's children. We're his bride, right?
Right.
Like,
For sure.
I mean, men, we talked about that in our church.
Yeah.
Men,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
still the bride of God in a,
Mm-hmm.
pause way.
Yeah.
But so
Yes.
why are we focused on making ourselves attractive to someone that's here on earth? We
It's
need to
not
make our
riding the wave. Yeah. It's not riding the
no,
wave of what society's telling you to be. It's making you
no.
doing your own
We
thing.
need to work on being attractive in that image of God, what he tells
Mm-hmm.
us we need to be, and then he's going to attract what we deserve back to, allow what we deserve to be attracted back to us. And so that was my first mistake with this marriage, was making myself available to a person, because yeah, when he saw me, I looked good. Okay. I mean, I was a lot younger. I still
Hey,
look good, but
10
I
out of
looked
10. 10 out
good.
of 10.
I looked good. Okay. And I was driven, and
Yeah.
I was taking care of my two kids on my own. Oh
For
my
sure.
gosh. Wow. On paper, whoa, great. But what happens was, when you make yourself attractive to that person, they see that, but they don't see the
Mm-hmm.
depth. And I never spent the time going through the depth. I am this person because of X, Y, and Z, but this person that you are attracted to is
Mm-hmm.
going to grow. And I desire to grow in this way.
Yeah.
That last part was lacking. Who you are attracted to, that's cool, because that's still going to be me forever.
Right.
I'm still going to look good. I'm still going to be driven. I'm still
Right.
going to be taking care of my kids, but I intend to grow in this way. Are you
Yeah.
down? And I don't think a lot of people have that conversation. And so if I would have spent more time making God pleased with the woman I was becoming into,
Yeah.
he would have attracted someone to me that he had already put the seed in of where I'm going, right? I
Mm-hmm.
found someone who was okay with where I was at, but God would have given me someone who was bought into and prepared for where I needed to go. And
Mm-hmm.
that last part was what was missing. And so I would tell every woman out there, I love my career women. I love my career moms. Keep
Right.
doing it. I want to help you, whatever you need. You may not know me. This may be your first time seeing or hearing from me. I want you to feel like you are empowered to be the best career woman and also grow in the image of God.
Yeah.
Do not think that chasing your career is going to make you less desirable. Do not think that
Mm.
putting your career first, if you had to, and that was your past, is going to make you that hard, rigid woman that is INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? Like don't let it make
Yes.
you feel like
Yeah.
that is unattractive, because do that and never give up on that. Keep that drive and your grit. Focus on that career progression,
Mm-hmm.
and know that if you still build your character in the image of God, he will bring you someone that can ride the wave you're on, but then also be that riptide to keep propelling you to where you need to go.
Yes.
So
That's what's up.
never stop and think the career you is unattractive. That was a major miss for me, and something that I'm growing from, and
And towards.
still believing that that greatest love is there, and still believing that I'm charting a legacy with my kids, with
Yeah.
my separation this year. God has just tremendously blessed us with a new home,
Yeah.
a brand new car, new opportunity for love, new, newly, newly, newly energized, like a
Yeah.
re-energized community of people that support us. And so, yeah, I would say that.
Super
Do
dope.
you?
You're super dope. I just got my podcast title, Career Woman. That's fire. I was
Yeah.
getting inside the episode. I might put a flame emoji this time. I don't know.
Flames. But
um,
yeah, that's what I would
it's
say.
either gonna be MJ moment or career woman. I'm not sure. I'm
I
gonna
like MJ moment.
Oh, you got it then. Let me
I like
adjust.
MJ moment because we touched a lot on
We
that.
did.
And that's great. And you got to
Yeah.
share that story about my parents not paying my light bill though, because people are gonna feel me. They're gonna be like, and then what? Yeah.
I'm I make the little clips and everything too, so I might use that as well. We'll talk. So last two segments here are essential. I mean pillars of the No Tech Talk podcast. First one is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and how would you use it to make money? Now, while you think on it, this is a superpower that is selfish. Okay. I don't want to cure world hunger. I don't want to hug people and make them feel good. I don't want to whatever, because you could do all of that already. Okay.
Okay.
I want something that is just for Jessica, that will make your life better, but you still got to make money with it as well. So what you got for me?
Well, the power to multiply. Okay. I want to be able to look at my money.
Oh,
Money,
okay. I'll take it.
money, duplicate yourself. But it's still going to be recognized by the Treasury Department.
I was just gonna
It's
say,
still
because you're gonna have the
legit.
same like little code on the dollar.
So yeah, so I don't
guess
know if it's
nobody would even know.
copyright or whatever ledger, but it's going to be real money
Real
that I can
tender.
use. Yeah.
And you
So whatever income
yeah.
I bring into my life. So I want to work, right? I want to be a
Yeah.
working superhero because I want to be like that Clark Kent that has the day job, but
For
then
sure.
it's like, so then, I'm duplication gal. I don't know.
That's the podcast
By
title right
night,
there. Duplication.
JVK by day, duplication gal by night, because I'm looking at my bank account the minute that them dollars roll in from that job.
Yes.
Duplicate yourself,
Times
double
6.
it. So I get $3,000 in my account. That's 6 the next morning.
And then you just double that too. That's what's
Yeah,
up. Okay,
that's
I'm
it.
with it. Hey, I'm surprised nobody said that before. Huh.
That's how you get. That's the easiest way I can think to make more money is boom, that ACH hits the account. Duplicate that. Next 2 weeks, duplicate that.
Okay, so have you heard any of the other segments of the superhero part? How I break it down and explain it?
Yes.
So I can run with anything anybody gives me. I'm pretty good at this. So if you want to duplicate, if you want to multiply, you feel lack. Okay, it's usually it's the general opposite of what you want. So like I want super speed. It's because I'm not the fastest guy in the world. I like running fast. I'm a distance runner.
Okay. You got the endurance.
But I ain't got I ain't got the 40 meter in me. I'm a marathon man. RP to Nipsey. I'm there. So you feel lack in a lot of areas in your life, and so you multiply. Obviously, God gave women the tools to multiply
The
in that
tools
way,
is
right?
already in us.
But you want it to multiply in every area. You're multifaceted. You want to do a lot of different things. So obviously,
Absolutely.
multiplication would be a part of what you want as your superpower. So it's just feeling that lack, feeling that always wanting to be whole and having that. So that's kind of breaks that down. Not to get too deep on that, but I have a whole list of this stuff. Superheroes are awesome. Anyway, the last part, and I got to read it, is the scripture. Now, this scripture was tailored just for you. Nobody's ever gotten this scripture. No one ever will get this scripture, and it will go down in history as the multiplication gal, duplication gal, whatever your name was for you. It's coming out of Hebrews 12:1 from the New New International Version. I change them up every now and then. I always tell people, if you're gonna read a scripture and you get that good feeling about it, read at least two other translations. See what somebody else say about it, right? Anyway, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. It's a tongue twister, but okay, you got it. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. There's a lot of scriptures about running that good old race, right? But I picked this one because, you know, especially like what we talked about. It said there was a great cloud of witnesses, but it's always be somebody watching. So I was gonna be society or whatever telling you you're supposed to be a certain type of way. Exactly what we talked about. And
Right.
but we gotta throw it off, shake it off, do a Taylor Swift, whatever you got to do. That because it's easy. It's easy to get
Jay-Z, brush your dirt off your shoulder.
something, whatever, right? It's easy to get entangled in what people say about you, what society says about you, what your family, parents will say about you. It's easy to get, I think that's where most people like stop and become complacent because they don't know how to just push past or just cut the weeds down and keep moving forward, right?
Right.
Which is how you get snakes. Anyway, no, and then it says, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." So the race has already been ran for you. You just got to do it. Let's talk about manifestation. You praying like, God, you already went before us anyway. We just got to act it. We just got to get in that line where it's supposed to be. Because usually we're somewhere in Germany, somewhere in New Orleans, but we got to get to Texas maybe. We got to get where we're supposed to be and thrive there. And only then we're in our purpose and we align everything together threefold, like you said, we'll be able to be
Yeah.
successful. So you can say what you think about that, and then we'll be out of here. You want me to read
Thank
it again?
you. No, thank you for reading that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I really am. Wow, I'm grateful that God put that on your heart
Mm-hmm.
because in this season now, my second season of single parenthood, it is hard to run this race. Okay. I had a lot of steam and I said I made a lot of challenges or a lot of risks early on in the midst of these challenges
Yeah.
because I had the energy. I was young, I was youthful, I was, the drive was like on
Right.
1,000. Well, now it's on 500. And the more the
Mm-hmm.
years go on and the challenges continue,
Yeah.
goes down about 100 every year. And this year for me has been one of the hardest to run my race. There have been
Mm-hmm.
many times for the first time in my life where I can honestly say I wanted to give up on everything. Like I wanted to not even be here talking to you today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of us who are going, who feel like they start from behind and always feel like they have to catching up to something in whatever area of life. And so for me, hearing that scripture just reminds me to run my race. Like I said earlier on, one of my MJ moments and reasons for being driven was to catch
Yeah.
up to my friends. But honestly, right now, I've surpassed a lot of them in maturity,
Yeah.
in physical things. If you want to look at that, I don't
Mm-hmm.
look at it. I just call myself blessed and
But if
God's
you
meeting the
did,
basics.
you a boss. It's cool. Yeah.
But I have a lot of
Yeah.
the friends that I was chasing that have degrees are still not where I'm at today
Yeah.
and would love to be. And so now is the time where my maturity says, focus on your race,
Yeah.
run your race. And it just was an encouragement that God
Yeah.
sees me, He hears me, He knows that I'm tired. I'm tired. I need like 3 camelbacks and like a 5-hour
I
break
love
in
what a
between my
camelback
next.
is. Yes.
I need
Okay.
3 camelbacks and a 5-hour break between my next 400-meter race because
Yeah.
I am a sprinter. I need a 5-hour break,
Yeah.
Jesus. Just give me that and all the water. But He knows that I need that. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful that He put that on your heart
For
today.
sure.
And I definitely feel like staying in my lane is benefiting
The
me
best
more.
place to be. Your
It's
own
the best
lane.
place to be. And being in
Whew.
your lane frees you up
Yeah.
to be transparent about a story that belongs to you. I don't have to tell anyone else's story. I no longer have to look at anyone else for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Being in your own lane allows you to build the backstory that you need
Facts.
to encourage and inspire yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that scripture today.
I'm grateful for having you on today. Thank you for coming on and blessing us with your story. I know this is kind of part of what you do, but you didn't have to do none of it. I appreciate you again for coming on and just being dope, being a dope individual. because I only have people on here who I want to be on here. You know, I can't say, I don't know. I would think about it, but I always think about like somebody famous, like what's up, bro? Come on, do I like you though? I might do it. Would I risk it all? Would I risk the fame and the notoriety for having someone on my podcast just for the clout? I ask myself that all the time. Or do I stick to my own beliefs and just say, if I rock with you, I rock with you. Cool, come on. But it's not just because you got 3 million followers. I don't know.
Right. I
On the
mean,
next episode
say
of
you.
Dragon Ball Z, no.
Right. On the next episode, I get it.
Right. Okay.
We'll be
So
5,000 episodes down the line before you get to that point.
who knows? But this is always a reminder to live life on purpose, to live with a little no tact in your life, and to just be dope. Be dope like Jessica. Y'all have a good day. Peace.